putting together the soul, when you look at a health plan, super important. And John tells us that. 3 John 1:2. Beloved, I pray that in every way you may succeed and prosper and be in good health. What is that? That's our shalom health. Just as I know your soul prospers. So in order for us to prosper physically, our soul has to prosper because they're connected. And the soul is what drives our thoughts and our choices and our behavior and our decisions. It's in command. And so if we don't look at this, then we wonder why we make decisions and we have all these good intentions and then they fall by the wayside as if we were poor soil. Well, you're not poor soil. You just didn't know how to account for the soul. And just like we've been doing it with the body, we're going to do this baby steps at a time. Things and ways that I have found that work for people to create shifts in that soul realm so that you can truly prosper and do well. So our mind, which is our thoughts, our will, which is our decision making, and our emotions. All 3 of those impact soul health. You know, in Romans 8:28 it says, I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. You know, I remember years and years ago when my health was such a mess. It was like, well, is that true or is that not true? You know, in John 10:10, Romans 8:28, God wants us to walk in abundance. And sometimes we're so separated from that thought of abundance. Our soul is disconnected and we try to go through the motions and we're not getting the fruit and the harvest of the abundance God has for us. So let's take a look at, just in an overview form, what we're going to cover in this soul section. This is probably one of my favorite sections because it can make some of the biggest difference. There will be an entire teaching. There's like 9 videos that comes out of one of our programs called The Miracle Switch. And in that, you're going to learn about that we have 2 parts of the brain. We have our brainstem, cerebellum, and we have our frontal lobe. Up here, this frontal lobe, you might call our logic. It's where we play, notice, discover, hear God's voice, make decisions, and execute those decisions. This moves in a little bit slower realm, but it's so important. And then we have this part, the brainstem, cerebellum. It only has one job. What is that job? To determine safe, unsafe, safe, unsafe. Unsafe is anything that's unpredictable, unknown, unfamiliar. Brainstem will then say, unsafe, unsafe, and automatically the inflammatory process floods the body to put us into fight or flight or freeze. Automatically. And you can't control it. It's the way God made it. And you may be like me. When I discovered that, I was like, well, God, this seems to be the problem. And he said, but Cheryl, if a bear was coming at you and you had to make all the decisions for what happens to every hormone, what happens to your heartbeat, and the speed with which you move and breathing, if you had to make all those decisions logically and consciously, you'd be dead. This is here for a purpose. So the problem is, my kids are living with the bear and the lion, and they haven't learned how to find shalom and be at peace. And I went, oh, maybe there is a purpose.